Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to a read-through chapter by chapter of J.R.R. Tolkien's masterpiece, Lord of the Rings. I started this with The Two Towers, in excellent company, David Wiley and Tony from An Erudite Adventure, and then I moved on to The Return of the King, and now I've come around full circle to The Fellowship of the Ring, which is the first part of the single book that is The Lord of the Rings, and we have reached a problem in my chapter by chapter read-through, which is that we've reached the chapter called The Council of Elrond, in which an enormous amount of this book is created, is made clear, is put in motion, and it's a favorite chapter of mine. There's a lot of stuff in here. I don't know that I could do it justice in one video, although I think on this channel I have. But it's probably a very long video, just like this one will be. What we're dealing with here is all of our pertinent characters finally learning everything about the situation that's going on, which has been known in bits and pieces to some for 70 years, some for 10 years, some for almost no time at all, just right away. It's a lot of information, but it's scattered all over the place, and not everybody knows the whole picture. What this chapter essentially does is put all of our characters on the same page, and the reader on the same page. And I want to talk about two more important bits in this chapter this time around, which underscore the fact that the good guys, the forces of the East and the East of Middle-earth who are going to find themselves aligned against Mordor or allied with it or swallowed up by it, the Dark Lord of Mordor wants his one ring. He wants the one ring. And it has been found. And it is in the keeping of the characters who are now at Rivendell, at the Council of Elrond. The two things that I want to talk about in the chapter today are examples of the fact that the good guys are not united. There is either implied tension between them or outright hostility between them. Because as the Council of Elrond wears on, some of the older elf lords there who are well versed in this matter, and who were themselves members of the White Council, the Wise, finally get around to asking, well, okay, we're all here and we're all talking about the One Ring and the fall of Sauron and the rise of Sauron again, but where is Saruman? He's the most knowledgeable on this subject of us all. They finally start to ask that question. But before they do, we hear from a new character, Boromir, who is a man from the south. He's a man from the great kingdom of Gondor, the great men kingdom of Gondor. He's not just a man from Gondor. He is the son of the steward of Gondor, Denethor. So he's basically next in line. He's the heir to not the throne, because of course the throne of Gondor belongs to the king, who has been gone forever and ever, unbeknownst to everybody, almost everybody in Rivendell. That king is Aragorn. But he is the son of the steward. He will be the next steward, in his mind. A powerful figure, an illustrious figure in Gondor. Boromir has traveled for days and days and days on just the rumor of this place called Rivendell. He has no idea how to get there. He's tracking and traveling to get there because the wisdom of Master Elrond, he says, is in words, not in weapons. And we need help. We need to understand. Gondor needs to understand what's going on. Our ancient enemy has awoken, he knows. Fires are now seen in Orodruin, which we call Mount Doom. And he wants to know, he's come to Elrond for advice. And he's mainly come to Elrond for advice because he says that he has heard a verse in a dream. And I want to read that to you and then cast some aspersions on his character. Seek for the sword that was broken. In Imladris it dwells. Imladris is Rivendell. There shall be counsels taken, stronger than Morgul spells. There be shown a token, the doom is near at hand. For Isildur's bane shall awaken, and the halfling forth shall stand. Isildur's bane is the One Ring. And Boromir tells everybody at the council that he heard those words come out of the whirlwind of a dream and went on the road to seek the explanation of them, the interpretation of them. I think, you won't find this in Tolkien lore, this is just me, I think that Boromir is lying here. I think that vision came to his brother Faramir, which, if I'm right, automatically makes you wonder what this whole story would have been like if Faramir had come to the Council of Elrond instead of Boromir. Boromir wouldn't have it. He will take this mission on himself. He wants to know what this could possibly mean, and he is told. He is told by Aragorn that the sword that was broken is the sword that he's carrying with him, the Shards of Narsil. And that Aragorn is the true descendant of Elendil through an unbroken line and is, in fact, king of Gondor. And Boromir is a little doubtful. Uh, let's see if I can. Let me see if I can find the part. Yes, there's a part here. He expresses. Oh, you want to get down, baby? Oh, oh, there you go. You don't get any free yoga when I'm in the little book room. There you go. Oh, stretch those glutes. Oh, goodness gracious. Right to our toe tips. There you go. There you go. Boromir is doubtful, to put it mildly. This scruffy ranger who looks like he's seen the hard part of the road for a long time. He doesn't look like a king. He certainly doesn't look like a true-born son of Númenor. He's standing there claiming all of this great glory for himself, and Boromir is skeptical. Let me see if I can find a part here. I was not sent to beg any boon, but only to seek the meaning of a riddle, answered Boromir proudly, and yet we are hard-pressed, and the sword of Elendil would be a help beyond our hope, if such a thing could indeed return out of the shadows of the past. He looked at Aragorn, and the doubt was in his eyes. And the response, the defense of Aragorn, comes from the least likely source. It comes from Bilbo Baggins, who stands up and offers the second most popular verse in this book. All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. From the ashes of fire shall be woken. A light from the shadows shall spring. Renewed shall be blade that was broken, and crownless again shall be king. And he says, that was not very good, but I thought it was to the point. How dare he criticize Aragorn? But Aragorn tells him, everybody calms him down because Aragorn mentions that I know I don't look the part of a king. And he counters Boromir himself, gently, but he does. Boromir has been trumpeting how Gondor is the last bastion of strength against the onslaught of Mordor. That if they did not hold the passes of the river, if they did not hold the south, then where would everybody else be? And Aragorn reads him a little lesson on that regard. He says, if Gondor, Boromir, has taken a stalwart tower, we have played another part. By we, he means the Dunedain, the remnants of Númenor, he and his fellow rangers. Many evil things there are that your strong walls and bright swords do not stay. You know little of the lands outside your bounds. Peace and freedom, do you say? The North would have known little of them but for us. Fear would have destroyed them. But when dark things come from the houseless hills or creep from sunless woods, they fly from us. What roads would any dare to tread? What safety would there be in quiet lands or in the homes of simple men at night if the Dunedain were asleep or were all gone into the grave? And yet less thanks we have than you. Travelers scowl at us, and countrymen give us scornful names. Strider am I to one fat man who lives within a day's march of foes that would freeze his heart or lay his little town in ruin if he were not guarded ceaselessly. Yet we would not have it otherwise. If simple folk are free from care and fear, simple they will be, and we must be secret to keep them so. That has been the task of my kindred, while the years have lengthened and the grass has grown. But now the world is changing once again. A new hour comes. Isildur's bane is found. Battle is at hand. The sword shall be reforged. I shall come to Minas Tirith. Notice there, Tolkien is not shy about giving us these long, grandiloquent sentences and flowing rhetoric, and it's gone there. It's just a series of simple declarative sentences. Adds point to it, I think, a lot. Boromir is not completely satisfied, and you know that. He's not just won over by this. You know that he's not completely satisfied. And that's tension. That adds a note of tension to this whole story. And if that implied tension is bad, well, then the story that Gandalf tells is even worse. Gandalf first acquaints everybody with the writing that is on the One Ring. You can't see it anymore. You have to put the ring in the fire to see the light, even to see the writing on it, at least a little. Gandalf doesn't do that. He doesn't put the ring in the fire in front of everybody, but he does recite the verses that are on the ring, and he recites them first in the tongue of Mordor. And then he translates it into what is the most famous bit of verse of doggerel anywhere in the book. One ring to rule them all, and one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. Gandalf recounts his researches into trying to figure out what this ring is. Is the ring that Bilbo has had in his pocket for all this time the one ring after all? The doom of the world, the peril of the world. And eventually he realizes that it is. He needs to convince some members of the Council of Elrond that it is, but eventually he does. And, of course, because it's a huge question about the ring and about Sauron, he has the exact same question that some of these elf lords do. Well, what does Saruman think? Other wizards do other things, but Saruman has long studied the arts of the enemy himself. He has to know more about rings and their long history than anybody. I'll go to him for help. And Gandalf recounts the story of going to Saruman at Orthanc to find his help. And what he finds instead there is horrifying. He finds something that maybe in retrospect he should have suspected all along. After all, in decades and decades past, it was always Saruman who was telling the council that we don't need to worry about this. The ring fell into the Anduin River and has rolled down to the sea and will be gone forever. Maybe Gandalf should have suspected earlier, but now he learns the truth. I want to read this scene to you. I've read it before on this channel. I love it so much. He tells... he's trying to warn Saruman that the Nine are abroad. They're not a rumor anymore. They have been revived. They are abroad. And they have come across the river. They've crossed the river Anduin. Gandalf has learned this from Radagast, another wizard, Radagast the Brown. And Saruman says his famous temper tantrum, Radagast the Brown? Laughed Saruman, and he no longer concealed his scorn. Radagast the bird tamer, Radagast the simple, Radagast the fool. Yet he had just the wit to play the part I set for him. For you have come, and that was all the purpose of my message. For here you shall stay, Gandalf the Grey, and rest from journeys. For I am Saruman the Wise, Saruman Ringmaker, Saruman of many colors. I looked then and saw that his robes, which had seemed white, were not so, but were woven of all colors, and if he moved them, they shimmered and changed hue so that the eye was bewildered. I liked white better, I said. White, he sneered, it serves as a beginning. White cloth may be dyed, the white page may be written, the white light can be broken. In which case it is no longer white, said I, and he that breaks a thing to find out what it is has left the path of wisdom. You need not speak to me as one of the fools you take for friends, said he. I have not brought you hither to be instructed by you, but to give you a choice. He drew himself up then and began to declaim, as if he were making a speech long rehearsed. The elder days are gone, the middle days are passing, the younger days are beginning. Time of the elves is over, but our time is at hand. The world of men which we must rule. We must have power to order all things as we will, for that good which only the wise can see. And listen, Gandalf, my old friend and helper, he said, coming and speaking now in a soft voice. I said we, for we it may be, if you will join with me. The new power is rising. Against it, the old allies and policies will not avail us at all. There is no hope left in elves or dying Numenor. This, then, is one choice before us, before you. We may join with that power. It would be wise, Gandalf. There is hope that way. Its victory is at hand, and there will be rich reward for those that aided it. As that power grows, its proven friends will grow also, and the wise, such as you and I, may with patience come at last to direct its courses, to control it. We can bide our time, we can keep our thoughts in our hearts, deploring maybe evils done by the way, but approving the high and ultimate purpose, knowledge, rule, order, all the things that we have so far striven in vain to accomplish, hindered rather than helped by our weak or idle friends. There would not be any real change in our designs, only in our means. Saruman, I said, I have heard speeches of this kind before, but only in the mouths of emissaries sent by Mordor to deceive the ignorant. I cannot think you brought me here so far only to weary my ears. He looked at me sidelong and paused a while, considering. Well, I see that this wise course does not commend itself to you, he said. Not yet? Not if some better way can be contrived? He came and laid his long hand on my arm. And why not, Gandalf? He whispered. Why not? The ruling ring. If we could command that, then the power would pass to us. That is in truth why I brought you here, for I have many eyes in my service, and I believe you know where this precious thing now lies. He uses the word precious. Is it not so? Well, why do the Nine ask for the Shire, and what is your business there? And as he said this, a lust which he could not conceal shone suddenly in his eyes. Saruman, I said, standing away from him, only one hand at a time can wield the one, and you know that well, so do not trouble to say we. But I would not give it, nay, I would not give even news of it to you now that I learn your mind. You are head of the council, but you have unmasked yourself at last. Well, the choices are, it seems, to submit to Sauron or to yourself. I will take neither. Have you others to offer? But Gandalf can't vie with Saruman. Saruman is the stronger wizard. And so he knows that he's lost. He's telling the story of how he has been held captive. That's why he couldn't meet Frodo and his friends on the road, because he was Saruman's captive. And he tells the story of his captivity and how he was narrowly saved by a bird that was a friend of Radagast the Brown, Radagast the bird tamer. Now, I want to stop here. I am, in fact, going to do a third Council of Elrond video. I'll do that the next time, and we'll just wrap that up very quickly. We won't do more than one more. But I want to point out here a few things in this chapter. One is one that I've already mentioned, which is that we have division now. It's not just Sauron versus everybody else. We now know that for sure. It's Sauron versus the good guys, yes, but the good guys have fissures in their ranks. Outright treason, lots of tension, lots of unspoken resentments. That's one thing. That's going to make... We didn't know that until this point, and that makes the book a lot more interesting. And the other thing that I want to mention here is something that we learn here in this chapter, which is that not only is Saruman not a good guy, but he also has a plan to oppose Sauron. He's playing a double game. The first offer that he makes to Gandalf is for the two of them to help Sauron defeat the Free Peoples of the West. When Gandalf rejects that offer, he has a backup offer, which is, well, what if we take over? None of this Sauron business. What if we take the power to ourselves? Which, being wizards, being Astari, they probably could. They probably could challenge Sauron himself. We didn't know that before either. That adds even more complexity to the narrative here, because not only are the good guys split, but the bad guys are split. Okay, well, we already knew this. If you're watching this in real time, then you already knew this because we've gone through the Two Towers together. But if you're reading this for the first time through, suddenly this is much more interesting, much more complex than good guys versus bad guys. We learn all about that. Everybody tells their stories. Gandalf tells the story of how he was rescued from Orthanc and brought, to a place where he could get to Elrond. And all these stories come forward, and we're going to finish up the Council of Elrond next time with what all these stories are leading to. Once everybody is on the same page, a huge question is hanging over this whole Council of Elrond, which is what to do about all of this. Now that we all know what's going on, what do we do about it? Can't destroy the ring, so what do we do about it? That's what we'll talk about next time. I want to have a good, nice chat about all of that and what decision, for those of you who've never read this book, what decision our heroes actually do come to. Because the council isn't just there to catch everybody up. It's there to make a game plan. So we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that next time. Hopefully a little shorter video next time. So I will wrap this up for now, and I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.